Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strompcast. We're on episode 193. Paulinho is on target again. But before we get into the game, let me introduce you to my only co-host today, the Triple H to Marshall Michaels, Richard. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. We're like the two-man power trip today, just the two of us. Everybody else has prior engagements. I'm good. We're coming off another win, 3 out of 3. Almost a massive weekend in Portugal. I've had to fumble the bag a little bit with some shenanigans, but 3 points, 3 wins from 3. We'll take it. It's a good start to the season as we start. We're going to start getting into some trickier games soon.
Yeah, most definitely. And make sure you follow Danny there and also follow Chris there as well. And if you want to follow myself, feel free to do that as well. But most importantly, make sure you follow all things Alvalade. I was going to say to you, I think Danny and Chris, we're against Famalicão, bogey team. I reckon they thought we're going to lose, so we're not going to show up. We're going to have some engagements on Tuesday.
That's not what their prediction. That's not what their prediction said last week. But although Danny smoked us all, he got the result. He got the 1-0 win.
Yeah, he got the 1-0.
We all got points, I think, for a win, and then I got points for a goal scorer.
Yeah, I updated it this morning, and I think it means that I am bottom currently, which is quite.
It's all like by a point, like between each place, though. Fantasies, we'll have to get into that after too. Fantasies a different story. I've had to make some transfers this week.
I mean, I did get the win, and I got the goal scorer, so I think
yes,
all things considered could be worse. But yeah,
we both got the win and the goal scorer, so we'll take those.
Yeah, most definitely. And yes, Lauren, I bought the shirt on eBay. Mine doesn't have the sponsor. I don't want to show it because this shirt is incredibly tight, and obviously
Macro. That's the one thing about Macro and shirts is you have to size. Like I'm usually a large. My average shirts, even for jerseys, I'm usually a large. Macron, you got to go up like 2 sizes. I got to go 2XL for Macron. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, this is a large, and it fits, but like I wouldn't wear it out in public just because of how tight fit it is. So
yeah, there's somewhere I'm like I just can't.
No, definitely. As much as I think the Macron kits are great, I think the sizing was awful.
I wish they had the Umbro size. Umbro sizes are like the most true to form sizes I've seen. They're so nice.
Yeah. Oh, vintage. I think I got mine for like 30 off eBay. So I mean,
I've made a couple eBay purchases off shirts last year. So eBay's been a bit. I made one off of Grail too. So.
Yeah, I've told myself I'm not buying any more shirts until I get the 18-19 home shirt. Like that is the last shirt I'm gonna buy that's like a vintage.
Yeah, if I see it, I'll let you. If I see it, I'll let you know because that's one that I regretted not getting it when it was out. And I happened to see it on Classic Football Shirts had it, and it was when they were doing like one of those like 20% off everything sales. So I got a steal for that shirt. It was so good.
Oh, nice. But I'm gonna buy like the new ones, obviously. But like in terms of vintage ones. I wanted to get like the Adidas ones from like 95, but they're just so expensive, which is fair.
They're like you're spending like $300 like pounds. Like they're so nice, but they are so pricey. That's one of those like you have to come into some money, win the lottery, get a big raise or something to want to like splurge kind of thing.
Well, I'm just saying I did buy 2 lottery tickets for today, so 78 million could be mine. If so, this stream is going to end abruptly.
Very abruptly.
But yeah, without going too much further into our tangents, let me get up the game. Sporting Famalicão, the 1-0 bogey team. I have Famalicão, so it's finally good to get a win. I know we beat them last year as well, and sort of that bogey team streak is sort of not existing anymore. But I would say this is definitely the hardest test we've had so far, and we managed to pass it. And to be fair, I think it was more that the scoreline doesn't reflect on how the actual game went, but we'll get onto that anyway. Let me read out the lineup first. We've got Adan in goal, Diamonde, Coates, Ignacio, Nuno Santos, Ricardo Esgaio, Hujmalan, Morita, Paulinho with the goal, Pedro Gonzalez, and Gyökeres. Off the bench came Jenny, which was, I mean, a FIFA Street cameo I've ever seen one. Like, he was 5-star skills all over the place. Mateus Reis, Trincao, and Braganza also came on. Richard, since I guess you're the only one here by myself, what is your thoughts on this game?
You know what? Like I first of all, I do think that we should have won. We could have and should have won by a bit more. Shout out to the Famalicão goalkeeper Luis Jr. He played phenomenal all game. Really kept them into it. Like there was a few chances even towards the end of the game where they could have and should have put it away. I thought we looked good. Like Paulinho had chances, Gyökeres had chances. Like we were all over them for long stretches. They didn't really look all that threatening. I think they had like 1 shot on target. It was pretty harmless. Like you said, the scoreline really doesn't reflect the actual flow and kind of style of the game that was played.
I mean, just looking at the XG
win.
for us and for them is like, you know, should have been a completely different result in my opinion.
Yeah, I as I said, like if you're looking for a man of the match on their side, it's Luis Jr. He was phenomenal. He made 1 or 2 saves. I'm like, how, and he's one of the goalies I said we should have tried to go after in the offseason. I would have loved to go after him. Who's the goalie from Gilles Vicente? He's pretty good too. I forgot his name.
And is it Andrew?
Andrew, yes. Those were two keepers. Where I'm like, if we're gonna go after a keeper, and it's gonna have to be, and they don't want to go outside of Portugal, it'd be those two. So he looked great. I feel like after this season, he's poised to a move to either a Braga, Benfica, Porto, even a Sporting potentially. He's got all the skill and makings to make it at a bigger club than Famalicão. Yeah, good game. Like I said, we had our chances. Could have won by more. Jokeres was all over the place, just skills. Won the free kick that actually ended up leading to the Paulinho goal. Shout out to Paulinho as well for getting the goal, I suppose. That's what, 5 goals now he's got in the league?
4, I believe. 4 in 3 games.
Yes, 4 in 3 games. So he's there's a fire lit under Paulinho. Talks of a Seleção call-up, which I wouldn't even argue. He's probably the most informed Portuguese striker right now.
Well, considering like João Felix doesn't get picked, Gonzalo Guedes is still injured.
João Felix isn't a natural striker, and he's shit at striker anyways.
Yeah, obviously Ronaldo I think it's a shooing for a call-up, of course. But like
I imagine, yeah.
Maybe Beto, since he's made the move to Everton, I guess would be in more favour to get a call-up. But I don't know if he's been on better form than Paulinho has. But
no, I'm looking like Gonzalo Ramos hasn't. I mean, he'll probably be locked to get called up. But if you're looking for a striker, I would absolutely think you're not wise to leave him behind. Like I would be taking Paulinho this window. You take the players when they're in their best form for national team football. It's a little different. So I think he's more than earned a call up for this window. I think him and Gonzalo Ignacio probably should both be called up. Whether they called up and then whether they play, that's 2 different stories. But that's my hill to die on this week.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, the games aren't being shown on UK TV anymore. But I must stress this. My friend, and again, I must stress, my friend has an IPTV from his Fire Stick, and
I've heard about those.
My friend recommends it. So
I recommend that, or finding a really reliable, legitimate streaming source on the internet to do that. Yeah, it's crazy. Like we gotta get into that at some point. You're like how it's impossible to watch a game outside of if you're not in Portugal.
Yeah, because they got rid of the French streaming rights, the Brazilian streaming rights. So it's literally just Portugal.
Canada, I know Canada is still Goal TV.
I think Canada and America, I'm pretty sure, share the same. Right?
Yeah,
I think
they were on Fubo for a few years. When I had Fubo, they had them. But yeah, other than the 1 game a week on RTP, like if you live abroad, like you're not going to catch. And RTP won't show any Benfica home games, so that already eliminates a slate of games that you would want to watch.
Yeah,
it's impossible. I feel bad for anybody of any team that you want to follow, whether it's Sporting, Benfica, Porto, whoever. It's impossible to watch a game if you're not in Portugal. I feel bad for the fans.
Yeah, and it's annoying because obviously there's quite a lot of Portuguese immigrants that migrate to for example, England. Obviously, I know they're shot in Canada, but I think in France as well, there's a huge Portuguese immigration. Immigrated area there. So I think they're missing out on a trick. Even I don't know what the viewing numbers were. Obviously, I don't claim to know a lot about that, but I don't assume that BT Sports are now rebranded to TNT Sports because it got bought out. I don't understand why they haven't got, because like if you look at some of the programs on there, no disrespect, because everyone's like who's on like a sports channel is obviously an athlete, but there's like rowing, there's like boat racing, there's
it's the stuff that's cheap to get TV rights for.
Yeah,
it's stuff that's cheap. You can make your money back on Adarav.
Couldn't imagine Liga Buin would be, or Liga Betclic as it's known now.
Not in its current state.
No,
like it's we're a farmers league, for lack of a better term. Like we're not a phenomenal league. Like look at how most of our teams do in Europe and everything.
Yeah,
it's all they've done. All they're doing is hindering any chance of growth they have, though, if they're not going to sort this out. Like that's the issue. Like it's not going to get better unless you actually make a point to put some effort to try to make it better.
Yeah, and I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what the answer is. If it's like maybe a streaming service or something like that. But I've seen the way. I know, obviously, MLS is probably richer than Liga Betclic,
Oh
of
God,
course. But the way they've done it with like Apple TV, is like you can watch any single MLS game, no matter where you are, as long as you pay
no
I think, like
restrictions.
$6.99 a month. Yeah, you can watch highlights as well. It's just something like that would be
And
pretty
they still,
cool.
and you know, and they still have games on like broadcast television too, like for
Yeah,
MLS. So they still have simulcasts of like I know that in Canada we have TSN's our main one of two big sports broadcasters. They simulcast one or two MLS games a week, usually with the Canadian teams, maybe one of the other ones. And then I know in the States they have I think Fox and Fox Sports show games. So they have it where it's still on. All your games are on a streaming service, but you're still getting like a couple games a week for the older fans or traditional fans who maybe don't want to use a streaming service, or just to attract the casual fans who aren't paying for it, right? Which is what we should do, but
yeah. I'm just if you don't have Jess makes a good point as well. Fernando did go to Sporting.
Yeah, if they had a star like that come over, you know that everybody would have flocked to it, right, to try to get the rights.
Most definitely. But I will say. And Jack makes a good point as well. But I will say,
an excellent point here.
If you don't have access, my friend recommends Firestick IPTV. Like they apparently work pretty well.
I've heard some positive reviews about it. I'm not advocating for you to do anything special. I'm just saying from what I've heard, the words on the streets, and the streets don't forget, is that they're pretty handy.
Yeah, everyone at All Things Alvalade does not encourage you to do anything illegal. Does not.
Never. So, not even twice.
But back to the topic at hand. I feel like this is going to be one where we just go on.
We're going to ramble a bit today.
We've done this with the Juventus guys before, where we just went on tangents about like wrestling for like half an hour.
Yeah,
we'll try to keep it on topic this time.
Back to this game. There's not too much because it's a slow week. There's not much news going on in sporting other than this game and a couple transfer rumors. But yeah, back to this game.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it's a transfer window with the amount of. I know there's still some rumors going on, but there's not like anything overly major that's crazy.
Most transfer business has been usually wrapped up by this point. It's like loose ends, really, at this point.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, back to the game. I thought we dominated for the whole game, especially the first half. I thought we were in control in the driving seat most of the time. The finishing was poor from all standards. There was some, like for example, even the second half that Pot had the sort of the one-on-one with the great pass from Jenny Katamo and then hit it straight at the keeper. And I do think Luis Jr. was okay. For the first goal, I thought he should have come out and commanded his area, but obviously he didn't, which is good for us. And then Adan didn't really have much to do, probably hence why I got the 5.6. I don't remember Famalicão having a shot on target. They might have done, but
they had one, I think, and it was very tame.
Yeah. I thought Hujmalund in his first game was fantastic. The way he acts, I feel like just acts like a captain. And that did mean like he kept going over to referees every sort of second. But I think obviously he was a captain at his old club and then transitioning into just another sort of squad player is going to be difficult when you're sort of used to having to go up to the referees as a captain in Italy. I believe from what I've seen, to be fair, last year I didn't watch that many Serie A games, but the captains do conduct themselves in like a, okay, I'll talk to the referee and you guys stay here.
Very direct. They're very direct. That's what I noticed from him right away. He's very like, all right, like I'm involved and I'm going to say, have my say kind of thing. Very direct kind of person.
Yeah, most definitely. And I will say last week, I heard, obviously I wasn't in, you guys held it down as always, of course, but you made the comments about Coates. And I think today, well, not today, the game on Sunday, he stepped up and was fantastic. I thought very good, very composed, he just felt like the Coates of old, and he was very composed. Definitely, him and Diamonde, I thought were the best defenders. Not saying Nasser did anything bad, but I think Diamonde's passing range and his ability on the ball is second to none. The only thing I don't like with Diamonde is feel like for his size, he doesn't win that many headers, and he's not really good in the air, which is unusual.
He's got to work on a bit.
But I think that'll come with time. He's still only, 19, 20, so
we say this every week about a young player. They're still learning, right? It'll come, you know. You gotta give him some time.
I did tweet out after the game that I thought my positives were Gyökeres. His hold-up plays is fantastic, so strong. And, of course, that led him to get a yellow card, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Gyökeres unlocks Paulinho. You can see Paulinho is playing with so much confidence because he doesn't have to do everything. He's not the main goal threat, but Gyökeres is so strong. his athleticism is great. His passing is great. Hard up play. Even his coming back on defense is great. I think he's just been a phenomenal signing. Great work for Ruben Amorim and Varandas and co to pull that off. I think has been probably one of the best signings in the last 2-3 years for us. And fantastic player. Paulinho, again, he is becoming more clutch, and like I said, the confidence is ringing. I think it helps that he's got the song that gets sung every time he scores, and I think that's going to help confidence as well. I don't know if we'll ever find one for Gyökeres. It's definitely a hard name to sort of rhyme with anything.
Name. Something with Victor or Vic maybe, but for the last name, I don't know how you're going to get a Portuguese chant for that.
No, they have to be creative with that one. But yeah, I feel like those are the positives. The negatives for me, Pedro Gonçalves, man. I thought he had an off game. I think a 5.8 is really generous because Morita got a 5.1. I thought Morita was just standard. He didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything great. He's just Morita, and I feel like for his standard, that's fine by me. But Pedro Gonçalves, man.
If he scores that free kick, though, that hit the bar, man, we're having a different conversation. It's a much different
that is very
podcast.
True. That is very true. But it's just that one, like I mentioned earlier, the pass from Catamo in the box, and he just hit it straight at the keeper. He lost the ball so many times. That was one that he literally passed out for a throw-in when there was sort of no danger near him at all. And I feel like Edwards and Trincao don't get the luxury of having that. Trincao and Edwards, it feels like as soon as they make a mistake, they're yanked or they get benched for the next game. Edwards didn't even get a single minute this game, which I think is weird and could be, I guess, something that to keep a close eye on as the window closes, I suppose, as he's been linked away. But yeah, Jenny coming off the bench. I made fun of him saying that like he can't cross, he can't shoot, but like he's just so skillful, and that was harsh because he was really good when he came on, and considering Esguy didn't play that well, I thought we had a new burst of energy with Jenny, and him coming on could have made it 2-3-0 if we had some more clinical players. That flip flap he did, where it was just like on the line, it was just so good. And I think we probably could have had a penalty if he went down as well, but he managed to stay on his feet, which was fair enough. And obviously there was the VAR penalty. It was penalty call, wasn't it? That wasn't called in the end for a handball, which to be fair, from every replay, for me, it looked like it hit his face.
It looks like it hits his face. Yeah, like I think it's kind of harsh if you give a penalty.
Yeah, so I was fine with that one. Trincao and Matias Reis didn't really do anything of note to warrant anything. I feel like like I said, it should have been 3-4-0. But I'll take the 3 points and the 1-0. I feel like we're the season's getting into full swing. The first 2 games you can sort of forgive because it's just coming off of pre-season. I think everyone's ready now. Personally, I don't see us making another signing. I think this is going to be our team. I don't think we're going to make another sale, obviously, unless the release is in. But I feel like this is going to be the sort of the team we're going to expect, obviously, with Fresneda and Fresgaio, hopefully as well. Yeah, I think overall it was a good game. Before we move on to the Castles, who do you think was your man of match, Richard?
I'll give it to Paulinho. You could make a case for Gyökeres. I'll give it to Paulinho just for the goal. And he played well. I thought he had some good runs, good chances. He didn't look too bad. I'll give it to him. I will say this is a game that last season I don't think they would have won.
Yeah, 100%.
I think if they hadn't gotten the goal, this was a game they would have either tied or lost. So I think that's a little bit of growth on this team's part.
Even in Ruben Amorim's first season, I don't think that team wins this game because we struggled against them in that season as well. But
we struggled in games like that. Anti-Jogo. That was the last game against Nacional. It was all Anti-Jogo. And we dominated the game, and we just couldn't score for if their lives depended on it, right?
Yeah.
Just one of those.
Yeah, and Lauren's comment here, I know, I for the life of me, and whenever I see Paulinho slander, it's either Lauren or Juicebox Leal.
Paulinho.
They're not fans of him. So I don't know if that hurts Lauren, because I know Lauren obviously wants Sporting to do well no matter what. But, I will say Paulinho, I mean, I've always stuck by him, but he definitely needed this sort of fire under his ass or getting kicked into gear. I think Gyökeres is only going to get it. I would like to see maybe another striker put in the window. I know I said I don't think we're going to buy one, but if Gyökeres is injured, it goes back to the team of last year, or if he gets suspended or something, which with the yellow card he got in that game looks more likely to happen over the coming weeks. But Amorim knows what he's doing.
Come to it, I suppose.
Yeah, and Rodrigo Ribeiro seems to be the third striker here. So, maybe he's ready to make the leap. Maybe he's not, but he's not had a single game yet. So who knows?
It's good that they at least have striker depth this year. Like last year, they went from Paulinho to nobody to they had to kind of throw Strompcast to the wolves. Sucked for him, to be put into that kind of situation, like all that pressure.
Yeah.
So it's good that they at least have like someone, like if they want to arrest a guy, they can arrest a guy. They still have another option. If someone's suspended, they can fall back on it. They don't have to deviate too much from what they're doing. Whereas last year, with the total lack of depth, they're like, oh, we've got nobody. So at least this year they've got a couple of players they can easily just throw in and be like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I think obviously the game against Vizela was sketchy at best in terms of performance by the team, but I think this has been a great start to the season. I feel like the team's looking good, and like I said, if we manage to keep everyone, obviously with the money flying around from Saudi and from Chelsea and from all these other teams, especially when it comes to the last days of the window, teams will start to panic, especially if they've lost a couple games.
Yeah,
I think we could potentially see one of them go, but I'm like 80% confident that I don't think we're going to see any major changes to the squad, obviously, unless a release clause is met, which I don't think is going to happen.
I think I'm with you on that. I don't see any big outgoing. I find it very unlikely any big outgoing transfer happens. Edwards, maybe. There's been some rumors of obviously Saudi teams the last couple weeks sniffing around. There's a bit of a rumor going around now. There might be like some English teams might be sniffing around again, but there's like a day left in the transfer window. I feel like if we hadn't heard anything more concrete up till now, he's probably saying. I think for incoming transfers, I'd be pleasant outside of Fresneda, which we'll get into in a minute. I'd be very surprised to see anybody else coming in. There's some rumors that came out today about Damsgaard, which Danish international for Brentford, fair, but I don't know if they really need him. I don't know where he fits into the equation on this team. Fresneda makes sense. I could see them if they were going after another winger maybe or a left back, but I think in terms of their center backs and their strikers and midfield, they're pretty well set. So
yeah, most definitely. Before we move on from the game, there is one sort of incident that we're going to look at, and it's this one here, which is obviously I can't play the clip, but what happens is the ball's coming to Gyökeres. Gyökeres is trying to hold up play. And to be fair, the elbow does strike Otavio, the cast at the back, in the face. Definitely, and like not on purpose, I think anyway. Gyökeres was given a yellow card. People on Twitter, of course, were claiming for red. Of course, if they're a Benfica reporter or not a Sporting fan. But Richard, I know we try to be as lenient and sort of unbiased as possible, but do you think there was anything in this?
It's a yellow card. I had no issue with it being a yellow card. I think sending him off would have been a bit extreme because we've seen them not give red cards for much worse, which doesn't say a lot. But I think a yellow card was fair. I think a red card, like you could make a bit of a case for it. I think it would have been a bit harsh. He hadn't really had any like nasty fouls leading up to that. If he had one or two already leading up to that and then did that, maybe. But I think a yellow card was fair.
Yeah.
Also, that's Otavio. Just before we move on, anybody who said shit to Otavio and you're a Sporting fan on social media, go fuck yourself. You're a moron. You should be banned from the internet. You're an idiot. I want no part of you in our fan base.
Yeah, but someone made a great point. It was like, you just know these guys aren't the people who like insulted him weren't match-going fans. They were just some kid at home. Obviously, I'm not trying to make a case for them. It's disgusting either way, but you just know those aren't the real Sporting fans that go to every game and cheer. It's just a select few, unfortunately, decide to take things too far, which is, and obviously everyone here doesn't condone
this discussion in 2023. Like, if you wouldn't say it to them in person, like don't say it online. And if you would say it to them in person, you're probably a piece of shit. So that's my opinion of you.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with you. I think it's a yellow card. And to be fair to the referee, he also gave one to, is it Richelai? The centre back for Famalicão doing the same thing. So there was the consistency there. But in terms of overall, I thought the refereeing performance was below average, if not awful, from the referee.
It was a rough weekend for all the refs this weekend, if we're being honest.
No, yeah, 100%. But like the anti-jog were coming from Famalicão, and literally 3 minutes added time in the first half. It's like it should have been at least 10 with all this extra time being added on anyway. I think there was one point where the Famalicão player had a head injury. Esgar had the ball on the edge of the box, about to cross it in. Referee blows the whistle for obviously a head injury and then gives the ball back to Famalicão anyway, when we should have been given the ball back by official FIFA rules. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know.
It was not a good weekend.
I feel like maybe if I watched it back, I would have been less like upset towards the referee. But watching it in the moment, I was just like, man, this referee is just not up to par. And I guess you could say that for all the referees in the Portuguese league, which is true.
This was a prime Portugal weekend for the weekend. This was a banner. If you're looking for shithouse and just garbage football, this was a banner weekend for that. It was so ugly to watch.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's get on to the Twitter questions we've got. Nuno Gabriel, shout out to him, fans since day one. He asked 2 questions. I'll give you the first one, Rich. He goes, do you think that Gyökeres is helping Paulinho play better?
Yes, I think that's unquestioned. I think Paulinho, one, because I think Paulinho has a bit more confidence. There's less pressure on him to perform. And we know Paulinho's a guy, he's had his mental health battles and stuff. So I think that's a big thing. Also, it's freeing up Paulinho to get into space more. So people are focusing on Gyökeres. They're almost caught. You see defenders kind of drift away, and then Paulinho kind of comes in for the chance. So I think it's had 2 effects. It's had the mental effect on Paulinho, but it's also had the tactical effect of it's leaving him open. It's giving him more time and space to work and do what he does well. So I think it's absolutely he's been helping.
Yeah, most definitely. And the second question I'll take, do you think this will be Paulinho's breakout season? The thing is, if you define breakout for Paulinho, he scored 5 league goals last year. So, like, he could be, would you argue, 6 or 7 is a breakout season because it's better than what he's done. But I think overall it goes with his confidence. If he continues to score, continues to play well, then yeah, I can see him getting back to his best season, which was at Braga under Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like strikers aren't going to score every game, and I don't think that's a bad thing for Paulinho or even Gyökeres to not score, so long as someone else picks up the slack. But I've said it time and time again. I feel like Paulinho is an easy scapegoat for sporting fans when something goes wrong. Sometimes I agree it is something like with a better goal scorer, where would it be? But I think sometimes sporting fans are quick to be harsh and to judge. And I feel like as long as they keep being with him, which seems this season, there seems like a more overall support of Paulinho than there was last year. So,
the bug just died on my computer and just fell. Scared the shit out of me. Sorry.
I saw your camera shake. I was like, is there
I was like, what the fuck just dropped from my ceiling? I'm sorry. I just was like, what the hell? Something just died and dropped. I'm good. I'm alive. We're here.
It's all good. Julian the White Person says, I was at the game. If you were there, you could feel how the fans felt about the officiating. It was horrific. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, very useful.
Paul Rodriguez asked, how worried is everyone on the slow start to the season for these players? Feel free to add a player or disagree if you feel a player listed hasn't been playing poorly. So I'll go one by one. Pedro Gonçalves I took earlier. So Richard, what are your thoughts on that? Pedro?
Pot's always been a streaky too surprising. I think it's just a bit annoying because he's had 2 hot starts like his 2-3 seasons before. I think he'll still get it going at some point. I still have faith. As long as the team's winning and getting results, like, big deal. He didn't look horrible the last game. And like I said, if he scores that free kick goal, it's a much different discussion we're having about him. I don't think he's looked outright dreadful. I just don't think he's looked phenomenal yet, which is what it is. Edwards, on the other hand, I think Edwards has half a foot out the door already. I think we knew that kind of even last season.
I don't know. I feel like he's not been given a lot of a chance. Like, for example, we all said last year, as soon as it hits like minute 45, if he makes it luckily to 55, it's always Edwards the first one coming off. And sometimes it just was not fair. He'd be the best player on the pitch. And it would be like, okay, bring you off for Otto Gomez, or it would bring you off for Fatau, or bring you off for someone else. It was just like, just let the guy play. And I don't know if it's fitness or, I know, being back on defensively. We know Amorim likes his wingers to be good defensively, which Edwards, to be fair, is not. But I mean, I feel like he just hasn't been given much of a chance. And the same with Trincao as well.
Trincão's not got a lot of playing time. I've been surprised. Now, I guess because they've decided to ship 2 strikers, that's kind of meant that neither of the 2 natural wingers has been getting much chance to shine.
Yeah.
So I guess you could chalk those 2 as well. Just They haven't been given a lot of game time. Now it's still early in the season. We're only 3 games in. If they all of a sudden get on a hot streak and the results keep coming, look out. Like this is a team to be reckoned with. Like this is a team that's not even firing on all cylinders, and they've still been grinding out results, which we couldn't say last year at any given point. So I think err a bit of patience still for these guys, but wait and see. Same with Nuno Santos. Like he's like in his late 20s now, so like give him some patience. Like he had some injuries, last season and even then preseason. So I think just err on the side of patience for a little while longer, especially if the team's still getting results. Let's settle down. It's not a big deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I will say is just that I hope Edwards and Trincao take the most of their opportunities from the bench. And like, obviously, I know they probably want to start, but it all starts if you have a good coming off the bench. It's how you get minutes. So I'm hoping Edwards and Trincao get some more burn. It's a long season. We're in a lot of competition, so I assume if none of them goes, there will be a lot of rotation, which Ruben Amorim has really struggled with. I feel like even last year there wasn't a lot of rotation in any position. It was always sort of the same 11, which led to a few more injuries that we had. So I'm hoping this year he's a bit more sort of lenient on the rotation side of things. Yeah, with Nuno Santos come off an injury. For me, he's the only one that I would take out of this list. The other 3 I completely agree with. I'll just put it down in that list because
we always put it down in any list.
Yeah, exactly. And I would also say Coates is not off that list yet. I feel like he's probably one more game. If he plays like that another game, he'll be fine. But
one good game doesn't get you off our shit list.
In my opinion, he's had two bad games and one good one. If he makes it 2-2, then I'll take him off the list. But I think for now he will stay. But yeah, that's the end of the Twitter questions. We've got a few questions in the chat, which since we're on the topic, I thought we might as well just get to them. Lauren asked, how would you rate our transfer window considering Ugarte is the only major loss? Good sales, great renewals, and 3 important signs. Rate out of 10. Richard, go on. You can take it first.
I'll give it an 8. They used the whole Ugarte transfer fee, $60 million basically. They got a starting striker, which they desperately needed. They got a very strong holding midfielder, which they desperately needed. And they got what looks to be at least a competitive right back with Esgaio, which was desperately needed. They shored up pretty much every position that was needed. They still come out with profit because of the Renato Viegas sale today, and they got the Pedro Porro money as well. So they've made out like bandits. I give it like an 8 out of 10 just for the fact that they addressed pretty much all the issues that needed to be addressed. They spent money for, we've accused this administration sometimes of not wanting to spend money. They went out and they spent money. They made 2 record signings for the club. I respect the ambition. I respect the business side of things. I think it was a very smart, very tidy transfer window. 8 out of 10 at least, just on the naked eye test.
Generally, for me, I think I have to give it a 10. I think it's just been from top to bottom, like you said, great renewals, important signings, getting rid of Deadwood, getting rid of Artur. Fatawu wouldn't really consider Deadwood.
They got money for Artur. That's right. I even forgot about that sale.
They got money, percentage money of like, I think Gonzalo Plata, they got percentage of. They got a few other percentages here and there.
They might still get Mateus Nunes percentage too, actually.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
News, just so they've made some good business. The only thing that gives me I didn't give it a full 10 out of 10. I'll bump it up to 8.5 actually. Bump it to 8.5. The only thing was I would have liked either a goalie or a left back, like a proper left back. But that's me nitpicking for positions they didn't necessarily have to fill. It's more I would have liked them to fill that.
Yeah.
I'm
in agreement with the goalkeeper, but I think with Israel he'll definitely get a few more chances this season. I think Adan will slowly be phased out. Obviously, I can't tell the future, but I guess that is the plan. But we take a look at the transfer market. We can take a look at every sort of sale. So Chimiti was one I don't think we mentioned, 12.5 million.
Oh yeah, they got 12 million for a guy with less than 6 months of professional experience, by the way. And people were trying to make that out as if we got the bad end of the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Thiago Tomas as well, 8 million for someone who was underwhelmed.
That's how much we've had outgoing, yeah.
We cleared wages of Bellerin, of Marsa, Dumbia, Vinagre, I think, took most of the wages. Same with Jovan, Sotiris too, Roshinha. And even like in terms of developing loans, we've got Mateus Fernandez, going out as well. So I think, like even Sotiris in terms of being young, getting that game time as well. And obviously, if you look at the ins too, Gyökeres is there, Kuzmulund is there, Trincao technically is there as well. And also the one that's not there is Renato Vega as well. He recently went for 4 million. He never made a first team appearance for us. So
4 million for a guy who never played for the main team. Like that's tidy business. We take those.
The only thing that we need to get rid of, and I don't think it's going to happen, is Rafael Camacho and Eduardo Enrique. I don't think they're going to go anytime soon.
He refuses to rescind that contract.
Man, they get so much money. I don't blame him. But it feels like at least Camacho is trying to go to Famalicão, but I don't know what the odds are on that happening is. But for me, it's a 10. I think if Adan continues to be bad, hopefully Israel get phased in. But again, it's one of those that I think on paper is a 10 out of 10. We've strengthened the position. We've been crying for a striker for the last 3-4 years. Even since Bastos left in
pretty much since Bastos left. Like we went with a striker. Like we went into the 2020-2021 season. Our strikers were Luis Felipe, Luciano Vieto, and Thiago Tomas.
Exactly.
And Paulinho was a mid-season transfer.
Even Jovan was being played at striker.
It was a hodgepodge of just random dudes.
And now we've got a proven, championship proven, a very good goal scorer in Gyökeres as well. Not even just a goal scorer, but just a fantastic player in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've done very well in the transfer market, I think. So we're quick to criticise them, but we should also be quick to give them their applause. And I think for them, Hugo Viana, Varandas, and Morims, the whole scouting team, 10 out of 10.
They did well. This is a banner transfer window for sure.
Yeah,
it does fall in line with my my theory that every other summer transfer window is going to be really good, and then every other one's going to be bad. So we've had a bad one, a good one, a bad one, a good one. So next year we might be in for a bad one. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good point. James Rice asks, with Fresneda coming in, do you think Jenny gets some minutes at the wing instead of going to the market?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think Fresneda is going to play against Braga. I feel like he's not trained enough. Amorim wants to sort of hammer in the routine.
Amorim's going to go safe for that game, I think.
Yeah, and also Fresneda is 18, so I feel like he's going to be one that's going to be slowly introduced with Hojmund, he's 24, 25, so he's sort of already a senior player. Same with Gyökeres as well. So I feel like Fresneda probably isn't going to start in the first month or so. I feel like he'll probably make cameos off the bench. So I still feel like Jenny's probably going to get minutes. He was originally brought on this game, I'm pretty sure, at left wing back until he brought on Mateus Racing.
Yes.
So but the thing is with Jenny, he's so versatile. I know he's mainly a winger, but Amorim in the system he plays. Like I said, the rotation is going to be a lot this season with Europa League, with Taça Liga, Taça Portugal, the league, of course.
Hopefully, we get more than a game in the Taça Portugal this year.
True, as long as we don't draw any third division teams. I'll be
happy. Don't draw anybody from third division. You got to give us a tough game, you got to give us a team in the second division or first division. We'll actually win that one.
Yeah, exactly. Let me take you to the league predictions we have got. I've updated everything, hopefully. And I realised I missed a point on myself and Danny's on game week 2 because we guessed.
I was going to say
game week 1. Sorry, I think because we both guessed the scorer and the win. So I've updated everything here from the last game. Danny got the correct.
I'm winning. Stop the count. Stop the count.
Danny got the correct score and he got the win, so he gets 3.
If he had Paulinho as a goal scorer, that would have been a monster week.
That would have been
an unbelievable week.
Chris got the win, so he only gets the 1 point. Gyökeres Pot didn't score. You got 2 points because you predicted the win and you got the goal scorer. And I got the same as well. So I went for a sort of 4-1. I thought we were going to dominate. And to be fair, like I said,
it could have been 4-1. It could have been that.
But while we're here, I guess me and you can do our predictions for Braga. But before that, Rich is in first with 7 points. Chris is in second. Danny is in third. And I am at the bottom with 4, unfortunately. But yeah, for the Braga, I've gone 3-1. Paulinho, Gyökeres, and Nuno Santos to get on the score sheet. Richard, give me your prediction.
2-1 for Sporting, for us.
Right.
Paulinho and Gyökeres.
The safe option, I suppose.
I think going with at least one of the strikers is a safe option. That's going to be the theme. For a lot of us, I think this season, and I got both them in fantasy. So
yeah,
I need a monster week from fantasy coming up. I'm going to start falling behind soon if I'm not careful.
And of course, Danny and Chris will fill out their predictions before the game, and I'll make sure to remind them in case they forget.
No, don't remind them. Let them forget. We'll stack the points.
They didn't see this. Be going against each other.
They're not going to see this. Don't worry.
But you also mentioned the Real Fever Fantasy League.
Chris is running away with it. I think it's Chris who's running away with it.
It is Chris with 158. I got 2-3 less points than him this game week.
Yeah. But, he's had a good couple weeks though.
He had Taremi, Gyökeres, Johanda, Rafa, Fujimoto, Simao, Godwin, Antonio Silva, Inacio, Arujo, and Del Costa. Points. Yeah, man. And on the bench, he had Mateus, who didn't play obviously because of the
none of the Braga guys played. So we had anybody with Braga, we all benched them.
Estacio, well, I actually forgot to bench my goalkeeper, but I think it did it automatically, luckily.
Okay.
Estacio, Thiago Esgaio, and Kilonda. So Gyökeres got the most points, him being Fujimoto and Rafa. Sorry,
Fujimoto and Rafa giving big points this week.
And Gyökeres
got. So I'm trying to finagle as trying to get Rafa in my team eventually. With my free transfer, I built up a couple free transfers, so you'll see my team probably next week. You'll see how it's changed a bit.
Oh, nice.
I put Paulinho. Okay.
I put Paulinho and Gyökeres as captain. I wish I would have changed them around, but
I know.
Fran Navarro has been awful. I'm
glad I got rid of him after week 1. I'm like, you know what? This might not be worth it. I'm glad I got rid of him.
Di Maria got 10, Simao got 5, Zaza didn't play, but I picked 3 Braga players and completely forgot. Otamendi, Esgaio, Mangala, Buta, and Bruno Varela. On the bench, Mateus, Steven Vittoria, Bruno, of course, didn't play, or Pedro Moreira got injured as well. So I'll be looking to switch them out. But I did get a decent points. No, it didn't. But I got 54 points, which I'll take it.
He had a good week from his bench.
You and Danny are actually tied for 3rd.
We're tied, yeah.
I don't know why it's put you in 4th, but
alphabetical maybe. I don't
know. He's
all Godwin. Oh, Jesus.
Pedro Gonzalez, Rafa, Fujimoto, Morita, Antonio Silva, John Mario, Wendell, Lelo, and Dio Costa. On the bench, Andrew, Esende, Buta, and Ruiz.
No Braga guys, fair enough.
He was good with a Rafa pick. Wendell, I think he had Wendell at the start and he got sent off as well in his first game. So, but yeah,
that's the thing. I have 2 or 3 Braga guys. So if I had anybody but the 2 or 3 Braga players I had, I would have leapfrogged them. And you're gonna see my bench is like all Braga players.
So Gyökeres, Paulinho, Pedro Gonzalez is your captain.
I'm dropping Pat Pot if he has a bad week next week. I've already made that choice.
Jota Stacco, which you're lucky didn't get sent off, otherwise probably been in the minus, which he definitely should have been.
Yeah, I was thanking God he didn't get sent off.
Bruno Gaspar, Otamendi, Pepe, Mr. Canada, Steven Vittoria, Thiago Esgaio, Bruno Varela, and then your Braga players on the bench as well.
That's my bench really was not helpful. That did not help me at all, was my bench. If I had anybody else, if I had one less Braga player, I would have been ahead of Danny. I'm sure of it.
I mean, apparently you're 45th place in Canada, so
which is wild to me.
You're in the top 100 out of 72.
Yeah. I think I made a couple. I think I transferred this week. I think I transferred Bruno Varela and 1 or 2 other players. I had three transfers. I think I used 2 of them this week. So I'm using like 1 a week usually just to kind of see who's got points, who's been kind of spamming points lately. That could help me out. Well, ideally, I'd like to squeeze in Ricardo Horta and Rafa because I feel like those are the 2 safe bets to spam points and keep you in the running. But
but hopefully not this week though.
Hopefully not this week. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have them for next week. But I mean, that's the thing is I'm gonna have to be a little smart with some transfers next couple weeks. But yeah, my bench was really I was like I'm fucked this week because like 3 of my bench guys are all Braga guys. So I better hope at least to break even with somebody.
Yeah, I mean it's still a long season, of course. The points are there to be made.
It's a 38 game season, right?
Exactly. Let's take a look at the league table before we move on to anything else. So at the moment, Victoria Guimarães sit in first place with 9 points. Porto in second with 9 points. Sporting in third. Fourth, Boavista, and fifth, Benfica. Obviously, like I said, long season. Porto, Victoria, and Sporting are the only ones that haven't drawn a single game. They're 3-3. I will say Victoria hasn't really played anyone of that great as of note from what I recall.
No, they have looked decent. I will give
Yeah.
them and Boavista have looked decent. I will give them that.
And then I guess you can make the same for Sporting. We haven't really played anyone that good. I guess Porto haven't really either. So next week, of course, the game against Braga is probably, well, I say probably, it's going to definitely be the toughest test yet. Well, people will say Braga are going to be favourites for the title, but man, I don't see it.
I don't know, man. Like it's weird. I guess because we haven't been able to see much of Braga lately because of Champions League, right? Their schedule's been kind of screwed around a bit.
Which they did win today, so fair.
Oh, they're in. So they're in.
They're in. They beat Panathinaikos
Good
1-0, I believe.
Good for them. So, that's huge. That's huge. Good for them. I can respect that. Awesome.
But yeah, I
didn't even realize that game was today. I thought it was tomorrow.
No, it was today. There was 3 on today, and they were the one. They won 1-0 last time I checked.
Okay.
So yeah, fair play to them.
Fair play.
But what I will say, their attack I think is great. Bruma's a very good player. So is Horta. So is Banza, Bill Ruiz. But his defense, Joseph Font is like what 30, 38, 39. João Moutinho the same age. Pizzi's not young anymore. They've even got guys like Castro who was like 36, 37.
This team is built to win the title in 2016.
Exactly. And like Ronnie Lopez.
This team would be dominating 8 years ago, 9 years ago. This team would have been fucking monstrous.
And if you look at the team on paper, is it much better than last year? To me, I don't think so.
I thought their team was good last year. I think it's marginally better than their team last year. I don't think it's crazy good like everyone's saying. I think they're still going to be fighting for top 3, like fighting for like podium position. And again, that we haven't been able to see much of them because their season's kind of been weird because of Champions League qualifiers. So I think once they get into the swing of things, we'll have a better idea of where they stand and everything. I think that top 5, for the most part, is going to remain unchanged in terms of the teams in there. Obviously, I think the order is going to change around a bit. Yeah. But I think Guimarães looks good this year. I expect them to be, top 6. I expect Braga to be up there, and I think Casa Pia, and even Boavista has been very pleasantly surprising. I think you'll see a lot of those teams kind of be pretty close for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, I do think. Well, at the bottom is Portimonense and Chaves. Portimonense looked awful. I knew they drew the last game.
I think they're my relegation candidate for this year. They look bad.
Yeah, and Chaves didn't look that great either. Because sitting on -9 goal difference with 3 losses in 3, but fair enough. Yeah. Let's get on to some of the sort of loose ends that we've had, and there has been quite a lot of controversy in the last few days. So we'll start with the main one, which is the Porto game yesterday. If you didn't see, basically there were 3 sort of important moments. You had Estacio getting should have been 2 yellow cards in less than 10 minutes. There was also a penalty decision given against Rio Ave, which they needed like an actual video camera, and like someone filmed, like the agents of Gonzalo Borges had to film the video camera, which is just prime to go. Yeah, like I mean, it was crazy. But there was also, which a lot of people didn't seem to mention. I don't know if you watched the game or not, Rich, but there was the Taremi offside. To me, I've seen it so many times. I just don't see how it's offside. I can literally see the guy's boot on the line. So
it's like, is it close? Absolutely.
7 centimeters is what the
official. I don't know. Like we were sitting there last week saying 9 centimeters would have been harsh. I think he's on, like barely, but he's on.
Yeah.
I thought the penalty against them was a little bit dubious. Against Rio Ave near the end was a bit dubious. That one I could see throwing a gripe about. The offside one I wouldn't really have thrown a gripe about. I don't think it's the penalty for me was a little dubious looking.
Yeah, and even though Miguel Braga is no longer at Sporting, of course they had to come up with their own statement.
I hate these statements, by the way. I'm so tired. I just hate this. These don't do anything. All this does is aggravate people more. This doesn't do anything to help.
I'll just skim through them. I won't read it all, but it's just saying how Sporting were disappointed by the absence of communication. Shortly after it was released, though, the refereeing team did come out and say that Estacio should have been given 2 yellow cards. But yesterday, both the referee teams coming through this, often on the field, clearly damaging Rio Ave and favouring Porto. And then they were basically saying, because the VAR pretty much came out after the game and said, the Paulinho goal should have been offside. That they did it so quickly, but they left it for Porto. Yeah. And they went a whole night and morning and they didn't say anything until this afternoon. And basically, it was just Sporting's campaign to sort of be on the audios for VAR, I suppose, and getting them to admit mistakes, which they did so quickly for us. But I know I tweeted earlier, and people came at me just saying like, "Oh, it's good," and like if you look at the actual comments of the statement on Sporting's official page, there's Sporting BEMS, well done, Sporting, blah blah blah. But to me, it's just like, just
it doesn't do anything. First, we know none of the big three are ever going to agree on anything ever.
No.
Like, find me one time they've ever been in agreement for anything.
But my argument was that you don't see Arsenal do this for Spurs. You don't see Man United do it for City. You don't see Celtic do it for Rangers. And I remember last year, I don't know if you recall, when I can't remember who Arsenal were playing, but the VAR forgot to draw the lines on the offside. And it went on for about a day, but we didn't hear anything else. Obviously, the VAR got sacked, and I guess that is what people were saying, well, replying to me, that's what happened. They got punished, but you can't punish Portuguese referees because there's no one else qualified to take their place, which is an issue in itself. But I just feel like even this isn't a Sporting thing, this isn't a Benfica Porto thing. It's just all three of them, even just stop bitching about each other. Just work in silence and just let the results come. It'd be much better if we just carry on.
Real G's move in silence, like the G in lasagna. Like, just, I get if you disagree with the calls as a club, as an institution. All this stuff does is nothing. It just makes tensions worse.
And it's contrast as well.
An already volatile environment.
Ruben Amorim will always say that he's not speaking on the refs and he's not going to speak on refereeing decisions and stuff. And then it's like Sporting the first time straight away. It's like, oh, this happened. It's just like the manager of your club said he's not going to talk about refereeing decisions because it's easy to blame the referee, blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, it's not a Sporting thing. Porto do it, Benfica do it. I just wish the whole league would just come together and just shut up. I feel like it would be if the league said, okay, if you're going to do this, you're going to get. They already do fines for it, but they need to either up the fines or
the fines
suspensions.
The fines are nothing.
Yeah, obviously I don't have the time to do this, but we could probably go back and count hundreds of thousands of fines just from Miguel Braga last year complaining about, and then obviously you get the fines from the fans that are given. We probably were in the depths of millions just in fines last year. But
I'd love to know the amount of fine. Like, if someone out there can do the math for us, I'd love to know in the last 5 years, basically the entire Varandas administration, how much we have lost in fines. How much have we paid in fines to the league and the National Federation?
I feel like someone at the league.
I know we paid a lot with Bruno because Bruno never knew when to shut up. But this administration picks weird times to do it, and it's like we'll go forever without saying something, and then we'll just go on a blitz for a month of just bitching and moaning about the rest and just getting a bunch of fines.
Yeah, most definitely. And next one we sort of spoke about a bit, but Sporting Iron Mikel Damsgaard, Danish defender for Brentford and Denmark national team. Played 29 games last year, not scoring a single goal, but getting one assist. Inside, such as Sporting Tactico and a few others, have sort of confirmed interest, but not confirmed that it's going to happen. And obviously, we mentioned it as well. Trincao, Edwards, Pedro Gonçalves, off the bench, you got guys still Gianni and, technically Paulinho and Gyökeres could probably play out on the wing. What are your thoughts on the actual deal, the player itself? What are your thoughts in general?
I have no strong feelings. I know that's probably a non-answer that people don't want to hear. He scored that, I think it was Damsgaard that scored that banger against England in the Euro semifinals. That's all I remember him for. No real strong feelings. It's fine if he comes in. I really don't have a problem with it. I just don't think it's a position you need to shore up. I feel like you could put that to better use. Now, if you're getting someone younger with a bit more potential, then for sure. If you're going after Samuel Lino, for example, I know he's been very popular in Portuguese circles. Then I'd be a bit more probably attentive, a bit more interested. This to me doesn't really fuss me up one way or the other. If he comes in, cool, I wish him well. He's a decent player, but if we don't get him, I wouldn't be upset about it either. I think you could, like I said, use the money to a position that maybe needs some, not necessarily an upgrade, but some more depth, like a left back, left wing back kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So that's
definitely.
that's my general thoughts on it. Nothing crazy.
Well, there was a story. I think it was either Record or Ebola said that Sweden were looking for like a Nuno Santos-esque player, which was a versatile one. Mikael Damsgaard is purely, I think, a winger midfielder. I don't think he's
Yeah,
in the sort of defender left wing back role. But like, at this point, I trust Ruben Amorim enough. He's had definitely more hits than misses in terms of transfers when they have been solely him asking for those players. So I trust him enough to be like, okay, like if this is the player you want, then fair enough.
yeah. Like I'll trust I'll always trust the judgment at least at first. Um, we'll see. Like it's been nothing concrete, but we'll see what happens. Like there's still a day left in the transfer window. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. And the next one, again, we spoke about it a little bit, but I guess we get in more detail. The Mark Edwards is wanted by Chelsea. The winger has been linked away from move this window. However, Sporting will only sell players for their release clause in the final days of the window, which to me is brilliant. We don't need to sell, especially this close to the window.
We still made unbelievable profit this transfer window with all the transfers we brought in. This would just be like great. This would be the get out of debt free card essentially.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to anything below the release clause. I think Spurs still own like 35%, if not more than of his pass. So anything less is not great. But the thing is with Chelsea, we know they've got the money.
Chelsea will pay it. Like if there's a team that's going to go out and just say fuck it, we'll pay it. Like Chelsea's the team.
Yeah,
like Tottenham will try to nickel and dime us. Man United would nickel and dime us. Chelsea, they're American. They're just going to say fuck it. Here's your money and go. They don't care.
But for me as well, I feel like Edwards has got like a mixed reputation around Sporting fans, especially at the last season that people say is overrated. I fall in the camp that I think he's great. He's a great attacker. He's a great winger. He's had some frustrating spells, definitely, but I still think, in my personal opinion, apart from Gyökeres, I think he's our best winger. Pedro Gonçalves is great, but I feel like Pedro Gonçalves has been very consistent. Edwards has the potential to change the game whenever he comes on. Just last year, the game against Spurs, in every big game Edwards had, maybe
Spurs games, he was phenomenal.
But even against like Frankfurt, he was good. And like against
Arsenal,
yeah. But I just feel like, unless it's a release clause, don't sell. And I feel like he can still have a market as well if he keeps playing well. He's English. He's always going to have that English market as well. Saudi links were there. I don't see him going to Saudi at this point of his career. But what about you? What are your thoughts on Edwards? Are you in the camp that he's a bit overrated, or are you sort of in the camp that he's good enough?
I think he's rated just fine. I don't think he's overrated. I think there is always going to be that English interest, that English tax that we talk about. I think he's, like I said, when he's on his game, he's probably the best player on the team, if not one of the best. Like he can just single-handedly help change the game, like we saw. He almost scored that wonder goal against Marseille. He almost scored one against Arsenal, I think, too. Like he was just, you see those flash of him, you're like, man, there is a hell of a player there. I think Sporting's right to stand their ground, say you want to transfer him on the last day. Sure, you're paying the release clause though. And if there's a club to stand your hill and die on against, it's Chelsea, because they're probably just gonna say, all right, we'll pay it just to avoid the headache.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if he leaves, I would stink a little bit, but it would also be essentially like a get out of debt free card. Like it'd be still like, what's his release clause? 60 million.
60, yeah.
Yeah, so we'd still get like 45 million or something after like percentages and stuff are paid. Like that's still a lot of money coming in.
Yeah, exactly. I feel, unless it's like a release clause, I feel like we can keep him, especially if you would have said like the start of the window, like come July, and you get an offer of like 50, 55, something.
Yeah, you knock like 5-10 million. You add like maybe knock it off 15 million, but there's 10 million in bonuses. Like,
yeah,
then you're willing to talk. But this late in the window, like you're not it's a much different conversation than when you're having like July 2nd as opposed to August 29th.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little short one as well. GM10 makes all the comments that we retweet, and to be fair, he's our friend, but like he does do some phenomenal work on there. So if you do want to be the first eSporting comment, make sure you give him a follow. Also, make sure you follow him on YouTube as well. He does do some good stuff. But I won't go too much on G. I don't want his ego to get any bigger than it is.
No, he'll go ballistic in our group chat. we gotta knock him down. He's like the KSI. Sometimes we gotta knock him down a peg, bring him back down to earth and humble him.
I feel like he will hate that comparison, but I think it's gonna make me laugh.
Good. I hope he hates it too.
But yeah, I'll go through some quick ones. That Fatal has been loaned out to Leicester with a 70 million buyout clause, which becomes mandatory if Leicester get promoted to Premier League. They're in first place with 4 games and 4 wins at the moment, or if Fatal plays in 60% of the official games, which looks like it's probably going to be made mandatory.
What do we pay for Fatal?
Probably, I don't think it was that much at all. I can check on Transfer Market, but
I was gonna say I'm curious because that's going to be a big profit margin.
Yeah, definitely. And I wonder if the Ghanaian club we bought him off has any sort of percentage.
They might have like 5-10%, which is nothing.
No, but I mean for them, like 5% for like a team that doesn't really have a lot of money in the first place.
Oh, true. That'd be huge for them. No, you're right.
1.2 million is what he cost from Steadfast in Ghana.
16 million in profit off of him, just before any like commissions and potential like. Here's your 5% of the transfer kind of thing, whatever they negotiate. Reasonable. Again, if it comes to fruition, very tidy business from the board again. Mm-hmm. I would have really liked to see him get more of a chance at Sporting. I don't know what. We may never know what went on behind the scenes to cause that kind of exile. It sucks because when we did see him, we saw again flashes of a really good player, and anytime he's gone on international duty for Ghana, whether it's been for the senior or the under 23s, under 21s, whatever, he's always like one of the players that's always in the news. Like, oh, he had a great game, or oh, he scored a great goal, he had a great assist. I think it's just one of those. I would have really liked to see more of him. I think that's the thing. It's just one of those what could have maybe been. But if they end up getting the sell on for him, like. A lot of money coming in. Like, I'm never going to complain about the financials being healthier.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wish them luck. I like Leicester. Leicester and West Ham are kind of my 2 teams in England. So I wish him luck. I hope he sees success. I think he's a young guy. He's got a bright future ahead of him. I think he's got everything needed all the tools needed to put it together. It's whether he wants to put it together now.
Yeah. 100% agreed. I'll go through some tidbits as well. Roberto Martinez was at the Alvalade. Apparently to watch Paulinho and Pop. Obviously, there's Inacio, there's Nuno Santos, and a few as well that played that could be called up. Paulinho was the one, to be fair, I think made the most impact. So he could be in the next Portugal squad, maybe. I don't know when it's announced.
I think Inacio's a lock at center back to at least be called up. I don't think Pot gets called up this window. I think he's just not unless there's an injury or they feel like a lack of depth somewhere. I would, if I was him, I would call up Paulinho. Like, unbiased opinion, I would call him up. It doesn't hurt to have him on, even on the bench, in good form. I think it shows you like you're willing to reward good form. As much as I'd love a Nuno Santos call up, he's coming off injury. He's not looked great. I think if this was like end of last season Nuno Santos, we could have made an argument for it.
I feel like it's just too much depth in the Portuguese team with the fullbacks.
At fullback, they're loaded. They're loaded at fullback and midfield. It's center back and striker. They have no one.
Yeah. Mateus Fernandes was loaned out to Estoril. Asuga was originally supposed to be loaned out to Moreirense, apparently, but he's going to stay with the Sporting squad because Mateus Fernandes went. So we have Asuga for depth. Fresneda,
that's
of course.
Fair. I think he'll still get buried in the cups and probably some 20-minute, 15-minute cameos. Probably. I don't think it hurts for him to stay with the main team. He showed flashes of good stuff last season, so I'm happy with him staying. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah,
agreed. Fresneda deal is done. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that he signed a few hours ago. He signed the paperwork, so he's officially a Sporting player. He had to be announced by Sport, but he has signed for 9 million euros plus 3 on add-ons, a 10% fee going to Real Valladolid as well. Some other tidbits as well. Schmidt made his debut for Everton in the 66th minute. Giovanna, his debut for Palatierna in Korea. João Paulinho scored the winner against scored the equalising goal against Arsenal to make it 2-2, which was
my guy John Straw.
John's draw.
John's draw.
Sporting debuted their CR7 third kit, which got a lot of attention on social media, actually. So fair play to them. And it did look nice, to be fair.
It's grown on me. It is a nicer looking, and now that I've seen it in the game, it is a nicer looking kit. We haven't got our strong kits yet, have we?
Not yet, no. I don't know if we're going to keep the ones from last year.
I'm assuming they'll probably just keep the ones from last year at this point. It's the last year of their Nike contract as it stands, so I'm assuming they just roll that over. Yeah, that's the only thing. We haven't seen our Strom kit yet. I assume it'll be the same as the last 2 seasons, but we'll see.
Yeah, we've been posting Ruben Amorim's pre-game and post-game press conferences to Twitter, X now. So if you do like the sound of that, please give us a follow, and you'll see them. Make sure to turn notifications on as well. Even the dog in Richard's background
there's a dog. There's a dog in the background. She's not happy.
But the last thing also I wanted to end it off because we've been going for an hour, and I wanted to end it off on sort of on a fun sort of way. And this is something I tweeted on the account. And these are the draws that are on free agents. So I'll go through them all.
All right. We got some fun ones here. Let's go.
Sheka, Adrian Silva, Nelson Oliveira, De Gea, Ramos, Vidal, Paulo, Jesse Rodriguez, club legend, of course. Juan Mata, Santi Mina, Reggie
Cannon would be a fun one, actually.
Angie Owen, Modeste, Bakayoko, Schneiderlin, and Villa, Koulibaly, Guilavoggi, Alfredo Morelos, Phil Jones, Jesse Lingard.
Lingardinho. You know what? I could go for Lingardinho at Sporting.
I'm pretty sure he's signing or going to sign for West Ham, so that one we can cross off the list.
There was rumors he was going either West Ham or MLS, so...
You know what? I can't be bothered through the rest of them, so I'll just...
All right, let me go through them. Okay, let me go through these. Okay, we got Danny Rowe. We'll eliminate all the English guys. No, scroll down. We've gone through the ones that are interesting so far. Let's see.
But Vidal. My question to you before you go on: would you take any of these at Sporting? And obviously, like I said, we don't think any one of them is going to come in. But looking at the list, who would you take in? Your Ruben Amorim, your Hugo Viana, your Verona Sueva. Who do you think is going to be? Who would you bring in?
I like Jovetic, but we have a striker. I like Lingardinho just for the vibes.
If you need me to zoom in, I'll zoom in a bit more.
Hazard would be amazing for the vibes and the marketing. You can eliminate all the English guy. You can eliminate most of this list. Go up back to the top of the list. See, there's some interesting Spanish guys.
I think Ramos you can take off as well. I think he's gone to Galatasaray.
That's too bad because I would have liked Ramos and I would have liked Juan Mata as well. Mata would be a fun one, I think. I'm sorry, David, Big Save Dave, but you were just atrocious last year. Just some howlers. I
mean, we've got our own house.
We've got our own Spanish. We've already got a Spanish guy to give us like a howler every couple weeks. Like we don't need you to do that on higher wages. Yeah, that's really it. Just a couple of Spanish guys. Reggie Cannon would have been a fun one. Andre Ayew's free too. I wouldn't mind Andre Ayew. Yeah. And Adrian Silva, I'm surprised he's not signed anywhere, but I'm surprised we haven't got the yearly. I'm willing to come back to Sporting interview.
I'm sure that will come in a few days.
If that drops like this week or next week, you're gonna be something die laughing. I'm just gonna say that now. Yeah, I could say there's like 5 or 6 guys I'd happily take at the team. At like if given the blank checkbook, sure.
If you're asking me, I'm taking for purely depth reasons. I take one of Sheka or Adrian for the backup midfielder role. Then loan a Silva out to actually get some minutes somewhere. Maybe in the second division or maybe lower Portuguese division. David De Gea, maybe. I feel like he's definitely an upgrade on the Dan. I know Big Save Dave hasn't been too much of a Big Save Dave.
Hasn't been Big Save Dave in about 2-3 years, but yeah.
Juan Mata, no. Reggie Cannon, no. I feel for Fresneda and his go at this point.
Yeah, if we did get Fresneda, I would have been more high on Reggie Cannon.
Alfredo Morelos is too much of a loose cannon for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take him. English guys, again, wouldn't take.
There's really no the French guys that jump at me either.
Not for me. Maybe Bakayoko, again, as a backup to
maybe
field. But yeah, other than that, I don't think so. Eden Hazard, I don't know I think he might retire. I feel like there's not.
I think his knees have just. It's a shame. Like his knees have just been shot.
Yeah, Handanovic, I didn't actually see there. I would take
Handanovic. I'd take Handanovic actually.
I'm surprised he's a free agent.
I'll take a Handanovic.
I don't know if he's still there. I'll research
I
him.
won't take Zuhair Fidal back, and I won't take Mariano Diaz. We'll skip those two.
Yeah,
Jovetic would be interesting, but I doubt it.
I don't think he gets that many minutes in this team. But again, I guess for a backup option, not too bad. Other than that, no one else. Former Sporting player, as I said, down there.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
legend.
Just before we end up, I'm going to just read some of the replies, just see if there's any that we missed. Maybe this one's a Phil Jones, which I question.
That's Phil Jones. Do you even watch football?
But even still, like Musa Marega as well. So I say that
Musa Marega was a streets won't forget player in the Portuguese league. To be fair, he was on his day.
A lot of people did say De Gea. I saw a lot of the shots for Handanovic as well.
Bakayoko, Handanovic. Yeah, I could see that. A lot of De Geas.
Xhaka is off the rotation. Xhaka as well. Schultz
a lot of
back.
Love in the chat. All right.
Fidal is something for Fidal. Handanovic again, I think, is probably the best one. I definitely wouldn't take. To be fair, I'll take Handanovic. I wouldn't take any of the other three.
I wouldn't take any of the other three. They're all loose tempered.
But De Gea was pretty much the main one, and Xhaka as well.
I'm surprised that much love for Xhaka. Adrian Love, I'm not too shocked by. There's people who are happy with the back.
There were a few no's, of course.
There's a few no's. Yeah. I'm just surprised the love for Xhaka. If that's the only one that's kind of surprised me from
I feel like it's just because of that we need it. I feel like
that makes sense.
And to be fair, I'm surprised Adrian hasn't done his yearly interview. But again, I can see Adrian going to Braga as well if they didn't sign Martinho. So
they're trying to build a team to win the title in 2016. So he'd be the guy to do it.
Sign all those players.
That dude, 2015, like 2017, Adrian was fucking built different though. I'll die on that hill. He was phenomenal.
He was good. Shame the way.
And then Leicester happened.
Yeah, I mean. Whether it was intentional by Bruno Di Carvalho, it sure was funny. But
for the memes, what happened? Well, the fax didn't go through. You're still using a fax machine? Like, bro, what do you mean?
I guarantee he was like,
email.
They were like, quick, you got to send it before midnight. And Bruno Di Carvalho had an alarm set at like 1 past midnight. It was like, bang.
You got an alarm at 11:59. I was like, oh, I didn't go through. Sorry, I hit send at 11:59.
But yeah,
I guess was just the story there that gets buried is they still had a fax machine. They're still using a fax machine in 2017.
I don't know if that was the same year from that the De Gea's one he got stuck in the fax
Real Madrid or whatever. Yeah, I got stuck.
Just to answer this question, gone to Porto, a done deal apparently. According to Oshoga, that Ivan Jamie has gone to Porto as their next reinforcement.
Oh, has he? Okay.
So, yeah. Apparently, from what I hear around the grapevine, he was offered to Sporting, but Ruben Amorim didn't like the way he trained and the way he was acting at Famalicão, so that was quickly vetoed. So yeah, he's going to Porto, which is a good sign. I think he's a great player, to be fair.
I think he's a good player. I think attitude issues alleged aside, like he's a good player, and he's still young too, so he's got time to grow out of that and mature.
Yeah. Most definitely. I guess we're into there. Do you have anything else you wanted to add on?
No, like it's a slow news week. I know our ladies are gearing up for Supertasa. But yeah, there's really not much. Like it's still preseason. I know futsal, the preseason Masters tournament with Braga, Benfica, and a few others was kicking off this week, but nothing really special for Modalidades or anything like that. Nothing for the ladies. So slow news week in that regard. So once those get started up, though, you'll be hearing stuff. You'll be seeing stuff on the channel and on our socials about that once they start kicking off more.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, Danny and Chris weren't here, but make sure to give them a follow on X down in the bottom left there. And also make sure to follow, of course, my great co-host Richard as well for today. Make sure you follow me as well. But of course, most importantly, make sure you follow ATA Alvalade on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, which I think has died down quickly, but
what time?
But yeah, podcast will be on Spotify as well and all your good streaming services. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and watch a previous podcast, previous videos. We've got a lot of content on the channel and still some more to come. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Peace.